servants, and the darker you were, the less public your duties. So you had to be your complexion to be able to serve them the liquor and the wines in their clubs. If you were my complexion, which many Indians are, you were relegated to doing the compost, or, walking their animals. You were not seen. And your feelings and thoughts you weren't human to them.
That's right.
So he understood that just as Gandhi did, that suffering. So,
And they were called brown Sammys.
right, and all over this world, in South Africa, there's a term, we use the they use the N-word here and now we've used it, but anyway, that's another talk show. But in South Africa, we're called Kafirs. It means the same thing.
That's right.
It's a South African, in Afrikaans, it means the same thing as the N-word here. And all over the world, you can go to India, you can go to the Netherlands, the Aborigine people, they have a name for them. Everywhere you go on this planet, including Asia, Saudi Arabia, it doesn't matter.
That's right.
If you're dark, it has a negative connotation.
Sure do.
Brother Sammy's
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Brother Yaqub, I forgot what. But anyway, I'd like to say, ask a question, but first I'm gonna say, the first 8 years, I was born in 1945. I'm over 70 years old. And I'm gonna say you two look beautiful. You look young, you look great. And I was in the Nation of Islam for the first 8 years of my life. And we stayed at Sister Clara Muhammad's house where you said, man, you should hold the meetings. Brother Benjamin, I've been knowing him all my life. And this brother here came in 37, I think it was 37, and I came in 45. I think we were the two oldest living members of this community right now. Right. And I went to prison, but not for refusing the draft. I did my 4 years, and I came out, and I got married, to my sister, my wife, Sister Brenda, and we've been married for 43 years now.
What is your question? That's amazing.
Beg your pardon?
I said that's an amazing thing to do. But you have a question.
I was in Louisville, Kentucky when they had the Time to Be Grateful, and this actress put on the Rosa Parks thing, and Gina was there, and Sister Shirley was there, and I was sitting next to them, and I said, wow, if they can do this for Rosa Parks, they should be able to do this for Sister Clara, your grandmother, Sister Clara Muhammad. So what is my question? My question is, I go to the Ahmadiyya Masjid sometime, and I spend time with the Ahmadiyya Masjid, with the Muslims there. I went to their convention last year in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and so you say the Ahmadiyya, so you're saying that Father Muhammad was Ahmadiyya?
Yes.
He was Ahmadiyya, and he came to the wilderness of North America by himself, without the other 24. It was 25, you say, right? And he came by himself. Yeah. So he came. They say that a lot of the teachings, like the the idea of the white devil and military drill, all that was already here. I heard the Imam Muhammad says that all those ideas were already here. Yeah. Because people couldn't read and write, so they had to sign their name with an X. And people were changed, like Sojourner Truth. Her name was Isabel Bummery, and she prayed to God to give her a new name because she didn't want the slave name. So she came up with Sojourner Truth. Sojourner Truth. So it was nothing new. Even Booker T. Washington and other people were changing the name. So it wasn't. Nation of Islam didn't start that. You know, that was started
And it's
before.
like Harriet Tubman.
Yeah,
We
Harriet
all know
Tubman.
Harriet Tubman.
Harriet Tubman.
As, you know, the main individual who got
Okay,
millions, well, not millions, but hundreds to freedom. Her original name was Amarita.
Annalise?
Black
well, we know that,
Yeah.
the Nation of Islam established things, and didn't make a claim of being the only ones. I mean,
That's right.
certain things, they are the only ones, but
Mhm.
most of it, yes. Someone was waiting right back there. Brother back there. You, brother with your hand up.
Yes, you spoke earlier, and you was talking about how you all back during the nation got things done. You didn't just talk about it, but you was about it. And that's what attracted me, to the Nation of Islam. I'm from North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina. That's what attracted me when I was out in the projects, in the streets. I had never seen black people unified like that and looking so sharp like y'all look good today, and the sisters unified. And that was a long time ago. Now here we're in the 21st century, and we cannot come together. We talk. I was telling my wife, I just got from North Carolina last night, and when I was taking my things in the house, I'm gonna be short, I got verbally attacked by African American, and he cursed my religion, and he knew I don't drink, and he kept asking me, do you want some cognac or whatever? And I'm like, look, man, leave me alone. I'm tired. You disrespecting my faith, you know. And when I was younger, he wouldn't have did that, you know. But since Allah has matured me, you know, I ignored him, and I called the police. But my point is, shortly, is I want you, if you would, tell us, what do we need to do today to get that same spirit back of not just talking about, being about Islam, but actually working and bringing back that unity and being a nation within a nation, because we can't survive the future if we continue to be divided. And we are divided, the Muslims. I'm just talking about the African American Muslims. We are divided in D.C., in North Carolina. We're divided all over this country, Atlanta, these big cities, and we're all into mostly ourselves and not each other. We're one people. So I just want you to give me something on that.
Well, I'll tell you from, what I understood. Excuse me, world. Okay. I'll tell you what Imam Worthdin Muhammad said. He said, when you're trying to do something good, you're not gonna get everybody.
Right.
He said, if you get 3 or 4 people, be happy.
Right.
So what I would suggest, brother, is that you don't have to ask anybody's permission to do God's work.
That's good.
Okay, where you are, who you are. If you're working for the sake of God, regardless of your faith, if you're talking about Muslim in this instance, you know what something needs to be done, find your 2 or 3 people and make it happen.
Right.
You don't need anybody's permission. If you wanna build a subdivision and with businesses in there so we can have our own place to live, whatever, go for it. Find you some young folks to help you, you know, do that with your
Yes.
legs and your back, okay? You know, cause we have great ideas, but you know, we don't have the stamina
Yes.
to hold up.
Right.
But we got the brilliance. So I would suggest to you to just step forward, whatever Allah put on your soul to do your work.
Yes, thank you.
And you don't need, and you don't have to meet at the masjid either.
That's right. Thank you.
Right.
It was, let's see, let's take someone over here.
I guess I'm interested in the family perspective of the transition in 1975. So when Wallace Muhammad shifted the views from that nation to more Sunni Islam, how did you and your parents perceive that? Was it a difficult transition, or how did you reconcile change? How did you? What happened?
It wasn't difficult at all.
That's
No, it
right.
wasn't.
Because our grandfather had already said, he sent Uncle Wallace and Uncle Appa to study in Saudi Arabia. And by the way, did you mention grandfather made Umrah?
No, but they didn't go there.
Uncle Appa did.
Uncle Akbar went to not Wallace.
They were being groomed and prepared from the very beginning. My grandfather always said, and all of his top inner circle knew. It was
Yeah.
common knowledge, actually,
Yes, it
even
was.
within the community,
Yeah.
that when my my grandfather transitioned, that my uncle would teach you the right way. He always told you that. He would teach you the right way. What my grandfather had the difficult task to do was take up people, and forgive me for the way I'm saying it, I don't wanna offend anybody, but he had to take people from an undisciplined
That's right.
lifestyle, from which had been disciplined, very disciplined during slavery and Jim Crow,
That's right.
because you worked for food, and then after that, during Jim Crow again, you worked for food. You never understood money was a tool and how that operated until further down the line, which is why we got so far behind in this American dream, or is it a nightmare?
That's right.
But, so Elijah had to use the best tools that he could to get black people out of the mindset that they were worthless pieces of junk and that they were children of a lesser God. So he told you, you are the cream of this earth. And science has proven that Eve was an African. No doubt, no diggity, not up for arbitration or negotiation anymore. Eve was an African.
That's right.
So, if that is the case, and you look at the DNA, I, as black as I am, can create you.
That's right.
You can't create me.
No way.
I can give you my DNA, I can
That's
give
right.
you my organs, I can give you all sorts of things to help you survive.
That's right.
Very few things you can give to me. Because, like it, lump it, spit on it, we were the source. And so Elijah just spoke the truth that now NIH and everybody else
That's
is
right.
backing up. If you look at his diet and his program, NIH is saying the same thing he
Sure
said.
is.
He was telling you about mercury in the fish
That's
way
right.
back in the
Sure
40s,
was.
50s, and 60s.
Spring water.
He was telling you about that mercury.
Yes,
He
he
was
was.
telling you not to eat a fish over 40 pounds.
That's
Nobody
right.
listened, everybody wanted their ham hocks and, you know, whatever.
That's right.
But, so, he had to use the word devil to, it was a shock value. And it was a wake-up call to white America to say, look, we're not taking it anymore. We are different people, we know who we are. And we will punch you dead in the eyeballs with it. We are no longer for sale, we are no longer your boys, you will no longer lynch us,
That's right.
mistreat us, and you will respect our women because we demand it.
That's right.
And they commanded respect in
Sure
the
did.
way they dressed, in the way they treated others, and they were always respectful,
Yes.
whatever religion
Sure
you were,
was.
wherever we lived.
That's right.
My grandparents lived next to Jews, they lived next to everybody. Hyde Park is a smorgasbord. It is.
But to get back to finish up the question, the transition, for most of us it was easy, those of us who were listening and that were truly following the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it was no surprise whatsoever. And for those who probably weren't paying very much attention, it might have been a struggle for them. But during the time in the 60s, Imam Werthuddin Muhammad was a young man in his 20s, and he was a minister. He never taught like his father. He taught differently. He respected his father, but he refused to call Farad or say that God came in the person of Farad. He would never say that. And so he people would listen to him. He was the minister in Philadelphia for several years. And so we were primed with listening to Minister Wallace as a young man. So just before his father passed, and like Amira said, he, kind of said he's not gonna be here. So those last 3 years, Wallace was helping his father, and he would speak on his behalf.
That's
And
right.
so people were being prepared, and they liked what they were hearing.
Yes.
And he
Yes.
did it very strategically.
Yes, he did.
But I invite you, there is a video that's available of his speech. And when you listen to it, you see how well he was prepared and he was taught at the University of Islam by Dr. Diab, who was selected, handpicked to teach Arabic to the students in the University of Islam. And Wallace D was one of the top students along with his brother Akbar and
Darnell Kareem.
and Darnell Kareem and
That's
Gloria
right.
Kareem and his sister Rosalind back then. There were 5 top students in that class. So they were taught the best form of Quran,
That's right.
Quranic Arabic
That's right.
and Arabic.
That's right.
And so there were times when they would listen to their father, he would listen to his father, but he knew, you know, he knew he had to respect his dad. He would listen to his father talk about the Quran and say it was in it in English, and Akbar and Wallace would look at each other and say, no, they didn't say it, no dad, no dad, that's what they were saying with their face. So he was prepared, they were prepared for it, we were prepared for it, and, some people were better at it than others, were better prepared than others. I personally was jumped up and down happy. I've been waiting since I was 16 for the message to move forward. I was ready. The only thing I had trouble with was they said, you no longer can call the white man the devil. And it was like, I said, well, but for me personally, what I did was say, okay, listen to, you've accepted Minister Wallace as your minister, as your leader. Just be patient and listen. And inside of 2 months, I understood it. I was out there. All doubt was gone. All doubt was gone.
There was a famous line, memory, where my grandfather called Malcolm X on the phone. Grandfather was